Hello, YouTube. Welcome to my channel, Marriage, Politics, and Sports. Today, I'll be presenting the fifth installment of my African American divestment series from the Democratic Party, with focus on the idiocy of defunding the police and the proliferation of voting based on race-based standard. As opposed to voting for folks based on who's best for the job. First, like, share, and provide your comments to what you hear today. I need your thoughts. I need your questions on this video, and so we can, go back and forth in the chat. Okay. Also, be sure to subscribe to my channel. Hit that notification bell because I'll be putting out more content on a regular basis. Now, I believe it's time for us as African Americans to take inventory on what exactly has the Democrat Party done for Black America. I mean, besides proliferating victim mentality and inferiority thinking. I mean, can you, list some specific positives? And I'm sure we can, a few, right? If you want to say civil rights, believe me, that was in 64, and it was a Republican in the Senate who passed that vote. It was Southern Democrats who were against it. So don't just give them credit for the Civil Rights Act. Okay. So let's just know your thing there. Okay. So if you can come up with a few positives, I'm sure they are. Okay. You might want to give him credit for Barack Obama. Yeah, he did have brown skin. But in the end, he was more of an advocate for the alphabet community than he ever was for the Black community. All right. So we know that that's true. And of course, he had to be president for everybody. We all know that. But every other ethnic group, when they put one of their leaders in, he does something specific for that group. And they do it proudly. But nobody does that for African Americans. It's like they shy away from being labeled. You're just doing it because you're Black. Well, you know what? Yeah, we need some people to do shit for us just because you're Black, especially if we put you in high places, especially if it's righteous. I mean, come on. Right. So let's fast forward to the deletion of George Floyd and the ultimate rise in the despicable movement called Black Lives Matter. Okay. And how the liberal media and the so called lack of the Democratic leadership remained silent as millions of dollars was collected by a small group of lesbians on the backs of deleted Black men. This grift was one of the most recent acts committed on the backs of Black and Brown communities. Okay. From that, the call to defund the police was born. It's not even clear to me who came up with that phrase, that horrible phrase. But again, the liberal Democrat, proliferated that call for the defund of police across the whole United States. And instead of the better angels in the Black community standing up and squashing this nonsense, the liberals in the Democrat Party seemingly promoted leaning into this dangerous call without weighing the consequences of what's going to happen if nobody's serving the communities that need police the most. Okay, this has also led to instituting the no cash bail system, right, as a band-aid solution to unfair practices of locking up Black, brown, and otherwise poor people for years waiting for their day in court because they couldn't come up with money to get out for even the most minor offenses. Right. So we got innocent people in jail with hardened criminals who have nothing to lose because a cop or somebody accused you of something. Now, even if the majority of those folks are guilty of something, the Constitution dictates that they have a right to a fair and speedy trial, not spending years in jail without a conviction. So they came up with this no bail, no cash bail system. As a consequence, new and recidivative criminals are free to prey on law-abiding black and brown citizens in the poorer communities with near impunity, since almost nationwide police forces are under siege and demoralized. Excuse me. The attached flowchart is an illustration, of the implementation of this no cash bail system strategy in Illinois. I mean, there's going to be plenty of flowcharts. This is just a basic chart. The green boxes you see says that if you pass through these wickets and you get to a green box, all you have to do is you get a citation to show up in court 21 days later. If you're a criminal, do you really think they're showing up? I mean, honestly, do you really think they're showing up? And if you get to the red box or going through this process, okay, they'll lock you up. But for the most of those offenses, we're back at square one because if they had cash, they could bail themselves out. It's clear that the system is broken, right? It's clear. And how this band aid fix being applied can be laid directly on the feet of the liberals and the Democratic Party. Okay. Add this to the suffocating pressure uh, of residing in sanctuary states and cities, where the mayors and the city councilmen are giving what little resources you have in those communities to these immigrants from foreign land. Okay, dig that, right? So from that, there's no choice but to change the way Black folks vote to continue you know, or we're going to continue to delve into irrelevancy and further poverty, while our leaders continue to buffer themselves behind broken ideology. It's way past time that folks in the black and brown community wake up and change what's going on. Excuse me. Okay, so there are approximately 139 black mayors in the USA. Okay, so how do we measure their success? One such measure has to be the safety and security of the cities they govern. Another has to be the economic prosperity in each one of those cities and the potential for growth. Since many of these mayors are Democrats, we can also ask, how is the Biden immigration strategy going to impact the poor? To be fair now, let me be fair, I'm not trying to lay all the problems on the feet of black mayors. Some of these guys and gals may even be conservative, but we know most of them are liberals, right? We know that already. So when we look at, but if we look at the problems of black mayors in the inner city horrors in cities like Atlanta, Baltimore, Chicago, Philadelphia, Los Angeles, New York City, San Francisco, St. Louis, and Washington, D.C., to name a few, it's safe to say that huge parts of the inner city neighborhoods are an absolute shit show. They're riddled with crime, drugs, and poverty. Okay, you see this quad here? Carjacking, looting. This is Kensington Street in Philly down in this lower left-hand corner. And then the immigration crisis. Now, all of this is on the back, like the atlas on the front page is on the back of black and brown and poor communities. Okay? It's a tremendous burden for folks to bear. So how can the Democrat Party actually, with all the gall, believe that that they deserve to get 4 more years of this shit? How? You know, why? Okay. I mean, listen, nobody's saying you got to go vote for Trump, but I really believe that there's going to be a tremendous amount of black folks who are going to stay away from the polls. Okay. I really believe that. So listen, finally, as African American black voters need to begin to understand that race is no longer our biggest issue. We have a class divide. It's much bigger than race these days. Fear of whites in the Republican Party is really an unfounded, propaganda type, trope being perpetuated by the left. Okay, we've survived slavery, we survived massacres, we survived lynching, we survived Jim Crow. Okay, it's time to to elevate from falling prey to the boogeyman tactics of the liberal Democrats and take a leap of faith that we can thrive without constantly being told we are victims, right? In fact, most black folks, if they're being honest, thrived just a little bit during the Trump administration until COVID hit. At which point, right? At which point, pretty much everybody was in the same boat around the world. Okay. So it's time to break the bonds of the Democrat Party and embrace the future. African Americans as a subculture in the United States of America is at the brink of complete irrelevancy, right? The culture is trash. The music is trash. And our family structures continue to deteriorate. It's time for new thinking, right? Every year, more Black conservatives and independents are making themselves heard. And it's time the majority of us begin to follow suit. Our pain, marriage, politics, and sports, over and out.